So last step, we've got these 4 pieces, we're going to join one more piece. We're going to do this with the spot welder. We're going to create some tabs to spot weld to our other piece. We've been making our tabs at 1/2 inch, so we're going to continue that. Oh, it looks like that one is already set to 1/2 inch, pretty close. So we're going to set our divider to 1/2 inch, and on one side scratch a line. So just like we've been doing, all of our other ones so far have been 1/4 inch. And then I'm also going to scratch a line here and here. So we've got 2 teeny little squares on each end, and we're going to draw, just like we did with the paper cube, we're going to go diagonally across that line so we know where to cut. So you can do this with dividers or a scratch-all. Set your ruler on there. There's 1. There's 2. So right now we've got 1 big long tab. I want to turn, just for fun so we can practice with the notcher, I'm going to turn this into 2 tabs. I'm going to measure, and this whole length should be 4 inches, but I'm going to measure that and just double check and make sure it actually is. And wherever our middle is, so if it is 4 inches, the middle would be 2 inches. I'm going to put a little arrow at the center on the line. You'll notice it's right on the line. We're going to take this over to the notcher now, and we're going to cut those 3 pieces off. Let's go do that. The notcher is pretty easy to use. We're looking behind the guard here. We can see the lower blade and the upper blade. I'm going to slide my piece of metal in. I think you can see that pretty good. We're going to slide that under the guard, line it up, and we're just cutting a straight line. So we really could cut this. We could cut this piece on the squaring shear, but because it's so hard to see, it's just so much easier on the notcher. We're going to do the same thing on this side. And now those pieces I could have done on either side. I could have come over here and done this piece either way. So now we've got 1 great big long tab. We're going to put the point on the mark that we made on the line, and we're going to make sure that this isn't twisted when we set it down. We're just going to kind of eyeball this, but we don't want it twisted way like this. That's going to make our tabs, in the words of Garrett, very wonky. So I'm going to slide this in, and it's very important that we don't cut past that line. So I'm sliding it in, keeping it as straight as possible, lining that point up with the mark I made, and I don't want the point again to go past my line. So I think well, I look like I moved just a little bit. Chop that. Now we have 2 tabs. We're going to bend these 2 tabs over at the box and pan brake. We're going to bend them up to 90 degrees. And then we're ready to spot weld. So let's head over to the box and pan brake. At the box and pan brake, we're going to bend this line. Just like we've been doing, we clamp it right on our line. The difference on this one is we are not bending this all the way. So I've got it clamped. I'm going to bend this up to what I figure is 90 degrees or pretty close. All right, so I got that bent. Now I can check this on a 90-degree edge. We've got a 90-degree edge right here. I can set it on and look, or if you got a bigger piece, this back piece over here, we can lay it back there. I think I bent it just a little too far, so I'm going to clamp it and carefully just pull it out just a little. We don't want to slip and cut our fingers until we get it where we figure it is 90 degrees. I think that looks pretty good. Let's head on over to the spot welder. This is kind of a fun machine. We've got 2 points here. Hopefully you can see it in your video. There's a cover down here, and underneath the cover is a foot pedal. It's It's kind of hard to get your foot on top of it. You kind of got to slide your foot in there. But when I step on the pedal, you'll notice that the tips here clamp. Okay, so the machine is not on. We could put metal in there. Nothing happens when we clamp on it until we push the foot pedal all the way down and let it up. So when we do this, it does shoot some sparks. So we want to wear these gloves. You'll notice where the gloves were. We need to make sure they get put back there for the next group. To turn this machine on, there's a little light switch on the side right here. Up is on. It's on. It's very, very quiet. You really can't tell that it's on. So please look at the position of the switch. Make sure you know if it's on or off. And don't leave without making sure it's turned off. Before we start welding, it's a good idea to practice. We'll have some pieces of metal back here to practice on. Here's one that's been very well used. Lots of practices on that one. There's two pieces that have been spot welded together. This one's fairly new. If we run out of space to practice, come let me know. We'll find a few more pieces of scrap and practice. So I'm going to put this between the tips, and I'm going to get my foot in there where I need it to go. It's kind of tricky, but so like I say, right now it's clamped. I have not pushed the pedal all the way down. I probably should hold on to this because it kind of twists. So I'm going to clamp this. It's going to spark. We don't want you to kick the pedal down. Just push it down and let it up. That's all you got to do. Okay? There's a spot weld. That one was a little too much. We burnt through, probably because I wasn't on the middle piece of metal. We want to overlap. So I was only on one piece of metal. So let's go over here, try it again. Okay, we got her clamped and stepped. That looks a little better. That's what we want to see when we're doing our joining lab. This piece of metal now is going to be hot. I can actually smell it. It got warm enough that it's cooking oils and dust off of it. So we're going to leave that up here. If we think we're ready, let's see, dropped the piece. There it is. If we think we're ready, we're going to spot weld these two pieces together. We're going to overlap it. We want to make sure it's lined up and it's not crooked or twisted. The other problem we have when we do this is this piece where it's bent down. If it's touching on the side, it's going to try and weld on the side instead of where the tips are. So to fix that, we put our piece of metal in here and we clamp it. Get my foot in there. Okay, get everything lined up and try and get it about center of the tab. But once I've got it centered, I'm not going to leave it flat. I'm actually going to tip it like this so that this piece isn't touching down there, and then we just step. Now you notice it got stuck. Sometimes that happens. Very easy, just grab this handle and pop it up. Okay, there's our first spot weld. Here's our, and again, remember we tip it up a little so that this piece doesn't touch the side of the bottom tip. Stuck again. And we're spot welded. It's hot. This side is going to be very hot, so we don't touch that until it's had a chance to cool down, but we can take the gloves off. And again, before we walk away, we turn the machine off. Machine is usually tucked back a little further into the corner. You can pull it out a little if you want. These will get warm too, so just be aware that these do get hot as we spot weld, especially if we're doing a lot, so don't touch those. If you need to pull it out, that's fine. Usually it's tucked away a little more. Make sure we're leaving the gloves here. All right, we're ready to finish this up and get it graded.